Well, welcome everyone. Thomas Montgomery with the Institute for Improved Minority Financial Literacy and the Smart Money Alliance. It is July 29th, 2020, 7:59 a.m. Central, and today we're going to train on the implementation process of the new entrepreneurship program. The new entrepreneurship program can simply be described from your perspective as a meshing of the educational curriculum that we created. And let me show you that. So the Accessing Capital for Small Businesses is a curriculum that frankly can be taught with each of these lessons standalone or in the sequence as is shown here, and it can be embedded into the entrepreneurship program. So the entrepreneurship program includes this plus the implementation, which we used to call the 4-week access to capital. So again, the entrepreneurship program, 4 weeks in duration, includes you teaching or you having someone teach. We'll talk about some options there. These 4 modules, and the client going through the 4-week access to capital program in one meshed, integrated model. All right, so with that being said, on the IIMFL.org website, we have the entrepreneurship program page. We have our board meeting on Friday. I suspect what's going to happen is that we'll be adding this tab to your replicated websites. All right, so the entrepreneurship program, again, is offered exclusively through IIMFL. Our mission statement is that we're a nonprofit organization committed to narrowing the racial wealth gap by teaching financial literacy, improving credit scores, both business and personal, and facilitating the development of minority-owned businesses. So I think once you get an understanding of the power of what we're doing, both teaching and implementing, this is something that nearly every small business owner needs. If you properly identify their problem, pretty much every small business owner will want, and it's going to be a really, really good fit to work with key influencers, sponsors, and hosts, because what we're doing is remarkably valuable. All right, so let's scroll down here and let's look at the content of the entrepreneurship program. We'll go ahead and read this first paragraph together. The IIMFL Entrepreneurship Program assists entrepreneurs in reaching their potential through a simple 4-week process, reasonably priced at only $99 a week, $99 a week times 4. Each week during the 4-week process, a financial literacy educator like you will teach, either in person or online, the educational topic of the week, which we'll review, and assist you in implementing what you've learned. So when you are enrolling a client in the entrepreneurship program, you're going to go ahead and collect from them either $396, which is 99 times 4. You keep half, you submit half. Or if they want to do a weekly pay, then you're going to collect $99 a week, keep half, and submit half. It's a nice 50-50 split. No one could argue about that. The process would be you would collect the payment from them, either the 99 or the 396, and you would go down to this inquiry form and you would type in their name and their email and their phone number, and you'd put in a brief message to let us know that you signed them up, the date you signed them up, and that you submitted our half to us, and let us know how you submitted it. You send it via ACH, wire, Zelle, or what have you. And of course, put your name here and check that bottom box. So this serves as the mechanism for us to know that you have enrolled the client, that you have collected payment, and that you will be sending our half to us. Upon receipt of our half to us, then we will post that to the client's account and we'll begin implementation, which we're going to talk about in a second. Now, some of you are showing some amazing ability to get sponsors. So we'll continue to learn how some of you are doing that and continue to build off of that as a team. But I can you can rest assured that there are some third parties that are willing to sponsor participants to go through the entrepreneurship program. And that'll be a big part of what we're going to talk about through our board meetings and strategic planning. Okay, so now let's dig into what we're going to do, of course, what the client is getting, and your roles and responsibilities. So it's a 4-week process, and so here we have the heading, 4-week process described. We've changed up how the website looks here by adding these bullets, and I think it's helpful because there's 2 things happening every week from the client's perspective. The educational topic of the week, which you are teaching, asterisk, we'll come back to that in a second, that you're teaching either in person or online, and then what they're doing. So there's the educational topic and what they're doing. Let's go ahead and talk more about the educational topic for a second. So again, we're going through the award-winning curriculum developed by the FDIC, promoted by the SBA, that's listed on this flyer. Now, we'll soon have a unique flyer for the entrepreneurship program that should be released tomorrow, as well as a press release here soon that you could use. But regardless, these are the topics. So the educational portion of this is exactly the same as the educational sequence that we use in the entrepreneurship program. The difference is when they go through the entrepreneurship program, we're actually helping them do these implementation steps, which when they're doing just the education, they're not getting the implementation. Okay, hopefully that made sense. Now, so what's happened is they have paid you and you have filled out this form. You submitted our half to us. So now we're going to go ahead and know that they're a client, and we're going to set up their live plan. So we use Live Plan, which we taught you about recently. It's a cloud-based, state-of-the-art software for step-by-step guidance in building their business plan and financial projections. And so that implementation step is going to be turned on, if you will. It shouldn't require much time or effort on your behalf at all. So that is good news. And with that being said, but you are going to be responsible to either directly or indirectly teach the topic of the week, which again is planning for a successful business. And we can go over here and look at it. Here's just one page. So we have, of course, instructor guides for all the modules. And so it's very comprehensive, 23 pages long, talks about the objectives and discussion points. But this page here, page 6, is especially helpful because it helps you understand the time allocation. So normally the first lesson would take right about 90 minutes to teach. And here's the breakdown of how that would be allocated. If you feel that you need to shorten that up a little bit, certainly that's within your decision. But by default, module 1 of the 4 modules would take about 90 minutes. But we've got the PowerPoints, the speaker's notes, everything to help you be successful. All right, so let's go back to it. So normally what you'll be doing in today's circumstances is you're going to set up, usually using Eventbrite, 4 sessions for the sequence, right? So you're going to set up the entrepreneurship program sequence, and let's just say, hypothetically, the first Monday of the month, it's going to be this education topic, planning for successful business. The second Monday of the month webinar is going to be building business credit, which has a whole nother PowerPoint, speaker's note, so forth. Third Monday of the month, financial management, and fourth topic of the month on week 4, banking and money. So you can go ahead and go into Eventbrite, set up this sequence, get them labeled, and you're going to have people register. Now, again, you can teach anyone these classes, and that's good. That's going to help them move forward. But what's best is if we take them through a sequence, a flow. So the first week of the month normally would be, or the first week of the protocol would be planning, second week business credit. What I'm trying to stumble through is, let's say it's mid-August before you're ready to start teaching, hopefully not. Well, this could be taught the second week of August, this could be taught the third week of August, this could be taught the first week of September, and so forth. The point is, it doesn't have to match up exactly with a calendar month. On these topics, it's ideal if you were going to want to take these clients in the sequence, because the educational topic matches either completely or largely with the implementation step. So it may be that you'll run 4 classes. So every week there's a new class, or what we used to talk about in college, a new cohort starting. So let's just say the first week of August, you've got 6 people, and so they get started. The second week of August, then you would have 2 classes to teach. You would have week 2 for those 6 people, but now we start another cohort that are on week 1. It wouldn't work so well to plug people in midstream in this model, but you certainly could be teaching the entrepreneurship program 4 times a month, with 1 class starting the first week of the month, the second class starting the second week, third and fourth. And that way people don't have a delay, because you don't want them to want to get started, to have that interest and pay you, and then they have to wait several weeks to get started. So best practice would be to teach 4 entrepreneurship programs per month, staggered, each starting once a week. Hopefully that makes sense. All right, so we've enrolled the person, we've submitted the information on the inquiry form, you've collected the money, you've sent us half, you've kept half. We have sent them the live plan access, which starts week 1, and you have helped them enroll on your Eventbrite for the first educational topic. Ideally, you'll teach these live, but you and I both know, once you teach one live, frankly, you could record it and have it on demand. That's going to have less perceived value by the client or the participant. It's not going to allow the interaction. So you could do it. We wouldn't recommend it. We would recommend teaching it live, but you could can it if you wanted to. All right, so that's what's happening in week 1 of this 4-step process. They're going to then, between week 1 and 2, they're going to be working on their live plan, working on filling in their business plan and financial projections. This isn't you holding their hand. It's step by step. They should be okay. We don't want you to be too bogged down with this. You've taught them the concepts and the theory, just like a college professor would, and then they're going back and implementing. So that takes us to week 2. Now, week 2 would already have been established, because you shouldn't set up an Eventbrite week 1 without also setting up week 2, week 3, and week 4, because it should be 4 consecutive weeks, in person or online, same time of the day, same day of the week. All right, so then our second topic is building business credit. And again, there's a whole nother PowerPoint handout, instructor's guide for that, just like I showed you for the first one. And now you're going to be helping them put together their personal financial statement. It's possible that you do this during the class itself, but most likely you're going to need to have a one-on-one with them outside of the group class to help them refine this. And of course, you can do that in person, telephonically, or online. This is important because very few people will do a good job with their personal financial statement without guidance. And this is great data gathering for you, isn't it? Because now you're learning a lot about that small business owner, that entrepreneur. You know how much income they have coming in, you know about their assets and their liabilities and their net worth. We're using the SBA Form 413, which we've trained you on. If you're not familiar with that, we can get you up to speed. And the bottom line is, you know a lot about that client, and that is a very enviable position, because soon you're going to be applying that knowledge and helping them implement for a better financial future. And then also we're going to have them, just like we did in the 4-week access to capital, go ahead and authorize the soft credit pull so we can take a look at their personal credit. Now, let's go on a tangent, but it's relevant to many of you. You might say, well, what does personal credit have to do with this? Well, personal credit obviously is an important part of being financially literate, financially well-positioned, and if gaining access to capital is a goal, then personal credit and business credit may apply. So just as we've been doing with the 4-week access to capital, you'll instruct them to do the soft credit pull. There's no cost to them. We cover the cost for that, and it's a soft inquiry, not a hard inquiry. That again provides additional data because we're going to do a capital match here on week 4, and these are variables that we need to know about. And then we'll also help them pull a business credit report, which many of them have never looked at. I mentioned this on the training yesterday. We're getting a lot of inquiries, a spike, a surge of inquiries on people interested in building their business credit profiles. I don't know exactly why that is, but I suspect that people's personal credit and personal finances are getting more and more stressed, and so they're looking at using business credit as an alternative. So, for instance, part of the process is us helping them build their Dun & Bradstreet Paydex score. So week 2 is a lot like week 1. So you're going to teach the topic, whether it be in person or online. Right now, they're primarily online. And then afterwards, they're going to have an implementation step. The implementation step for week 2 is going to require more of your direct involvement because you want to help them develop their personal financial statement. From an economic perspective, you should be very motivated to help them do this, because if you are an insurance professional, I'm going to put an asterisk behind that because I'm going to come back to that and something I mentioned earlier, then there's no better way to qualify a prospect than doing their personal financial statement. Now, here's a point I didn't make earlier, I meant to. So you can see that there's the education part of this, and we'll call it the implementation part. You could very well say, hey, I want to educate, but I don't want to do the individual implementation. I don't want to be working with them on the personal financial statement. I don't want to be writing their life insurance. Or alternatively, you say, I want to write their life insurance, but I don't want to teach. Or you could say, I want to do both. But it's the point I'm trying to make is it's okay to divide those roles. If you just want to teach and not write the insurance and related activities, fine. If you just want to write the insurance and related activities and not teach, that's fine. So you might say, well, okay, well, how do we fill that out then? There's an opening, right? If I'm only wanting to do one of those two things, that's fine. You're going to find someone or someone's, multiple people, that you would like to work with. You're going to have them complete the background check using your agent code. So now they're coded into your hierarchy. And then you can divide the task as you would like. I was talking to one of you yesterday out in California. This gentleman is passionate about writing the insurance policies. He wants to write 50 to 100 IUL/key person policies every month, but he frankly doesn't want to teach the classes. So great. So what we're working with him on is bringing in a sub-agent that's going to focus on the teaching, and he's going to focus on writing the policies. And then the sub-agent is going to make the money from the teaching, which is $200 per person, average class size of 20, so about $4,000. And then he's going to make the insurance money. So it's okay if you don't want to both do the teaching and the implementation. You can do one of those two, you can do both of those two. But if you want to separate out some of those responsibilities, then it's an opportunity for you to use your team members for those other components. So now you're coordinating with them, you're working out whatever revenue share with them that you want. We don't want to be a middleman in that. Okay, so we've covered week 1 and week 2. Then we get to week 3. So week 3 is about financial management. So again, that's another topic from the award-winning curriculum pulled from developed by the FDIC, promoted by the SBA. There's no one that's going to say, oh, that's not great content, because it is. Includes the PowerPoint, speakers, notes, handouts. We've covered that. Now what you're going to do is meet with them after that class, and you're going to complete their financial needs analysis and then put together a plan. So this isn't just about selling a key person policy, so don't confuse that. If they're going through and developing explicitly a loan package, then of course the collateral assignment, the key person, is integral to that. In this case, normally that's not what we're going to do. Instead, we're going to look at the person more holistically. What you and I know is most people are not saving adequately short-term or long-term. They're not protecting their assets. They're not growing their money in the most advantageous ways. So in most cases, probably about 75% of the people going through this, you will write an index universal life policy on. We call it a smart money plan. That same newly created smart money plan can serve multiple purposes, can't it? It could serve as a collateral assignment if they should need it. It'll also help them protect their assets and their family. It'll also help them grow their money without risk and all of that. So just remember, when we're going through this sequence, the financial needs analysis, which I can show you, is here, and we've had a training on that. You all should have gone through that training or viewed that training, or if not, we need to get you trained. And so this is the specific financial needs analysis form that we use. It's a little bit hard for you to see from your perspective, but it's an editable PDF. So if you're doing it via Zoom, you can fill it out together. If you're in person, you can print it out and even handwrite it. Looks a little bit frightening with the type of information and the amount of information, but it's really fluid. After you've done a couple, you'll be very competent, very proficient in it, and it's very, very effective. So that's what we are using after week 3. So we're going to educate them and then do this. Now, I'll tell you that if you're working on their personal financial statement after week 2, you could go ahead and ask them, say, well, hey, Greg, if you want, we could go ahead and get ahead of the curriculum and go ahead and start your financial needs analysis if you have time now. So this could be moved up earlier, or it could be done after the class. Frankly, you could even do it right after week 1 if you wanted, and just say, hey, let's get prepared in advance for week 3. But regardless, no later than after week 3 is when you're going to do the financial needs analysis using the designated form. That works really well. Okay, so with that then, we go to week 4, right? So week 4, we have the educational topic, banking and money. And to no surprise, banking and money comes from the FDIC curriculum that's promoted by the SBA and award-winning. So once they've completed this, then we'll be able to help them with a capital match. You're not responsible for doing that. We do that. And so a capital match is relevant if they're looking to raise capital. And we've talked about capital can come from several different ways. It could come from debt, it could come from equity, or it could come from earned income. Examples are SBA loans, investment capital, and otherwise. So once you've taught week 4, then we'll help them with the capital match. That is not your responsibility to do. Some may not be looking to raise capital, so they may not want to do a capital match, and that's okay. What we've added to the page here, which I think that you'll like, are expected outcomes. And so with the expected outcomes at the end of the 30-day program, there's 3 things that they should anticipate. Number 1 is that they should, that they will receive a certificate of completion, and we'll issue that to them. It'll have some similarity in format to this, but the bottom line is it'll have some logos on it. And if they came to us through you, of course, through a host or a sponsor or a key influencer, then we can edit the certificate and add that bank's logo or that chamber's logo or that association's logo to the certificate. Again, this is not the certificate. I'm just giving you a visual illustration that the host or sponsor's logo can be added to it. So they'll get a certificate of completion, which is nice. People like that. Secondly, they're going to have a lender/investor compliant business plan, and that is relevant both for internal use. We've talked about that recently. Having a well-designed business plan with financial projections is remarkably valuable in terms of improving the probability of business success and profitability. So it's important to have written plans. It's important for each of you, and I mentioned this, I think it was yesterday, each of you that are on this webinar right now, or anyone that's listening to it afterwards, in my opinion, you should also go through this process. You should also enroll in the entrepreneurship program, and we need to be doing this for your business. Now, you may be working with us as a financial literacy educator as your primary business or as your secondary business, and that's fine. Probably every business that you're operating should go through this and have a written plan. But certainly as a financial literacy educator, it would be best if you also went through this and had a business plan. Now, I understand by you teaching it, you've kind of gone through it. And so that's fine if that's what you want. But by you teaching it, that's powerful, but that's not the same as you literally having a business plan for your business. In other words, what are your revenue projections for next month? What are your expense projections and resulting profitability? You see the difference. So you're going to learn the information by teaching it. You couldn't help but not to. But in terms of actually having the output for yourself, that would only happen if you actually enrolled yourself. All right. So again, in summary, the second expected outcome, and we have the slash there because some people are going to want loans, SBA or otherwise. Others will want money that they don't have to pay back. So that's more of an equity or an investor proposition. But in either case, they have that package. And it's useful both internally for planning and management and also for accessing funding. And then the third expected outcome is that they've gone through this process, right? They've learned so much from you and from the curriculum. And so they have better knowledge now. They have access to more resources that statistically should, in fact, improve their profitability and better position them. And for example, they'll have a stronger Dun & Bradstreet Paydex score, improved bank rating, and so forth. So in my mind, and you can tell me what your thoughts, this is incredible outcomes for them. So what you would do is you need to create a promotion plan to go generate clients to participate in the entrepreneurship program. We'll be getting a flyer and a press release available here very soon, most likely tomorrow, but by Monday. So of course, then you have this page on the IIMFL website. If you have one of the replicated websites with you, we'll be migrating over and getting this page added to that. But don't wait for that. You can use this resource page. There's a YouTube video that describes the Access to Capital program that you could share as a standalone, or you could refer them to this website page as well. But the key is you need to get the word out. You need to have a promotion plan, because we want each of you, and we mentioned this yesterday, we want each of you to enroll 100 participants in the entrepreneurship program per month. So if you're following the best practice, every week you're starting a new class, a new cohort. So in week 1, you only have 1 class to teach. In week 2, you have 2 classes. It's the second week of cohort 1, first class of cohort 2. So you're making it accessible. And so our goal is to get 25 people per class enrolled. And so then this should be a running number. We're going to be helping 100 people a month, 100 people a month, 100 people a month. Now from that, what do you make? Well, you know that we're splitting this 50-50. So you're going to have what I'll call a base pay of $20,000 a month from the education side. And then you're going to have an opportunity to write 100 IULs a month. Of course, not everyone will write one. Not everyone will qualify for one, but a good goal is 75% conversion. So then you should be writing 75 plus or minus IULs a month. We won't call them key person policies in this curriculum because they could serve as that, but they need to be positioned as a broader, more holistic financial instrument under the entrepreneurship program. How much do you make for each key person policy that you write? It depends on a few variables, the face amount and the age and the overall plan design. But this certainly should be a 7-figure or close to a 7-figure annual income annualized by doing it this way. I mentioned earlier, if you see yourself as an educator, but you don't want to write the policies, or you want to write the policies and you don't want to educate, that is okay. You can divide and conquer there. You would bring on whatever missing piece using your background check link. That person would be on your team, and then you can delegate, designate with them, coordinate with them as you would like for them to do their part. But again, what we're going to need is we're going to need participants, right? So it's not a problem. There's a lot of people that want and need what we're doing. So then we need to figure out how to connect with them. Well, how would you connect with them? You can certainly post access and awareness of the entrepreneurship program in social media. You can use appointment setters. You can get the free leads we've talked about, which can be newly formed or existing businesses, and alert them of the awareness of this. Remember, at 10 a.m. Central, Monday through Friday, so about 20 times a month, I or someone here at home office is giving an overview of the entrepreneurship program. So if you create a funnel and you're not able to close some or all of them, then you can always let them know that there's a free, and it's not sales oriented, a free daily webinar, 10 o'clock Central, where they can learn more. And then I'll cover with them an outline of what we're going to do and the benefits, and then answer their questions. So we're here to help you. The key in driving that type of volume, 100 a month, is probably not going to come from a hunt and peck approach. It's going to come from a more strategic approach. And that's going to usually be best accomplished by working with hosts. We've talked this multiple times before. So hosts can be churches, chambers, co-working spaces, business organizations, business associations, meetup group organizers, Facebook group organizers, but it's key influencers that are acting as a host. And the host is then going to plug this programming into their sphere of influence. They're going to promote it for you, right? And so you might want to revenue share with the host. That's between you and them. Well, what could you revenue share? You could revenue share your half of the upfront if you wanted, and or you could revenue share part of the back end, the premiums from the IULs, the smart money plans. You don't have to, and some hosts are not going to want that or wouldn't accept that. So you can use your discretion. You can start setting these entrepreneurship programs up immediately through your local library if you wanted. The problem with that, though, is anything that we do at the local library, we're not going to be able to charge for. So keep that in mind if you want a revenue share. Yes, I will send out to everyone the link to the 10 a.m. Central daily webinar. We call that an access to capital webinar, but really what we're doing is we're highlighting the entrepreneurship program. On my radio show that begins this Saturday at 9 a.m., I'll be highlighting the entrepreneurship program for a national audience. I know a number of you are using different types of media, online or mass media. This is really where you'll want to focus people on. Now, with that being said, that certainly does not prevent you from being able to go teach the individual curriculum. So for small businesses, we have all these different modules, 13 different modules. For adults, we have all these different modules. And for young people, we have 4 different age-banded modules. It's fine if you want, in addition to, or I guess in lieu of, teaching these individual lessons. However, I think you'll get the most traction if instead we package And so we put together 4 packages. You'll see those on the career page right here. You can click on them. So these are the 4 packages that we've created of those modules, of these same modules. But ideally, we hope that you'll consider, let's go back to it, teaching the entrepreneurship program. Because while the other lessons individually are at no charge, which is great, and that can be a first step into different audiences, including libraries, ultimately we want to get people into the entrepreneurship program. So here's a strategy with the library, for example, that a couple of you have done. You've gone to the library and you've picked any one of these individual topics. So you teach this at the library, which is a free educational session, but your call to action afterwards is to encourage people to enroll in the entrepreneurship program. Well, the entrepreneurship program is grant subsidized, but it's not free, so the library is not going to want you to pitch this. Well, you can introduce it, you just can't close them at the library. So you could go in, you could teach any of these topics as kind of a free sample to create awareness, to create a relationship. Any of these topics, they're all available to you. PowerPoint, speakers, notes, handouts, train the trainer training on most of them. And then you could use that to have created a relationship and funnel in. So in summary, as we wrap up, what are ways that we can fill our pipeline for teaching the entrepreneurship program? Number 1 is we could go teach a free class off that list I just showed you to create a funnel. The second is you could work with hosts, key influencers, churches, chambers, co-working spaces, organizations, associations, approach them and say, hey, my name's Tom Montgomery. I'm a board member of the Institute for Improved Minority Financial Literacy. We're a nonprofit committed to narrowing the racial wealth gap by teaching financial literacy, improving credit scores, and facilitating the development of minority-owned small businesses. And I'd like to talk to you about collaborating to offer an entrepreneurship program together. And then, of course, you can educate them about what that is and what that means. You could show them this page. You could share with them the YouTube. And so from that, hopefully they'll say yes, and then we'll put together the schedule. You'll need to decide, are you going to teach online or in person with that specific group, and take it from there. I will forewarn you, if you're going to have some hosts that say, well, could we do both? Can you teach for in-person, the people that want it in person, and online for those that want it online? And I would think the answer would be yes, but those would be 2 different classes, 2 different cohorts. I don't think it's going to coordinate or mesh very well to have both an online audience and an in-person audience. Okay, so hopefully that assists you in understanding the value, the strength, the lucrative nature of the entrepreneurship program, because it's meshing both an award-winning educational curriculum and it's also positioning us to implement. What questions do any of you have that I can help you with today? Robert's asking about writing the 100 policies per month. Is it written or online? Well, we use Nationwide to write the IULs and or key person policies, and that can be done remotely very efficiently. So hopefully that answered your question, Robert. Samuel's interested in plugging into the 10 a.m. daily webinar. And yes, I'll send that out to all of our financial literacy educators here in a minute. If you're not a financial literacy educator yet, we need to get you plugged in. We need to get your background check done, and we need to get you plugged in. And yes, so Rudy, we can certainly do the IUL training. Any other questions that anyone has about what we're talking about here? Peggy's asking, when will the entrepreneurship program tab be added to the replicated sites? I would hope by the end of the first week of August. this page here has evolved a little bit as we added the bullets and did a better job of breaking it down. If we feel like that we're at a stable state with this, then we can go ahead and replicate it out. And yes, I will get everyone. Angela was asking, how does she submit our half? Because she's going to collect the $99 times 4, whether it be in weekly payments or all up front. And then she's asking how to submit our half to us, which comes via Zelle. And yes, I'll include that when I share the recording of this to everyone. So in closing, I think this is an incredible opportunity to help small businesses work with hosts, make a meaningful difference. I think we finally mastered the packaging. We have an incredibly strong educational curriculum that's going to be easy for you to teach because it's turnkey, PowerPoint, speakers notes, handouts, and we have great implementation, which is what's needed. That's what changes people's behavior, is the help that you and I are providing, that we collectively are providing in implementing what they've learned, not just teaching them more that they probably have already heard about. So what I'd like you to do is create a promotion plan. How are you going to drive people into the entrepreneurship program? I need you to create a plan, and we're going to be sharing that on the board meeting call Friday at 4 o'clock. Need to have a plan. And that plan, in my opinion, should start with you setting up 4 of these classes in August. One that starts week 1, one that starts week 2, one that starts week 3, one that starts week 4. And as people are coming aboard, then you plug them into the next available slot. I would strongly recommend holding the class, even if it's a smaller number. You know, your time is valuable, my time is valuable, but what we don't want to do is have 3 or 4 people enroll to start in, let's say, week 1, and you say, oh, that's not enough to do it. Now, that's great. If your classes start smaller, then start smaller. That's going to help you juggle fewer moving parts, manage less responsibility, have fewer students to deal with as you're climbing the learning curve. I truly anticipate that this will grow, that you'll be able to start having, and I would cap it at 100. I think you certainly can grow to 100 participants per cohort, but it's going to take a little bit of time. The key ingredient in driving this volume is your enthusiasm, your passion, your activity in developing host relationships. Because for you to drive in 100 people every month or more on a one-by-one basis is going to be a lot of work. But driving in 100 participants or more by working through hosts who have a large sphere of influence is much more attainable. So work on your promotion plan. We'll get back together tomorrow at this time, continuing to build our momentum. We'll have a board meeting on Friday. In August, we need to be balls to the walls. We need to have 4 classes. Every one of you needs to have your Eventbrite set up, 4 of these classes, one starting week 1, one starting week 2, one starting week 3, and one starting week 4, and we'll start pumping people into those classes. All right, thanks everyone. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.